Guys, thank you for coming and seeing us at noon, but it's actually 12:04. My apologies. Today we have Jordan Pohn from SurePoint Equity and Frank Miller from Believe Investments. Guys, we better bring a bunch of questions because I only have 2 questions total. So first question is for Jordan Pohn. Oh my gosh, never mind. I made a really, do you know, on my mailing, I put out Saul Good Pohn. Like thinking I had a good pun because of Better Call Saul, and then I realized, man, Jordan's on. Like, man, that's my day today. All right, first question, Jordan. What are you seeing on your end? Because when I talked to Bobby Clifton, he made it sound like the main issue, well, on our board meeting, it sounded like the main issue was that lenders are having a hard time finding people to buy the mortgages. And that's bottlenecking what they're being more selective on what they buy, which is causing people to raise credit score requirements and down payment requirements. And what are you seeing on your end?
I'm seeing the same thing. I think everybody knows about Chase raising their minimum credit score on conforming to 700 and the down payment to 20%. Why they're doing that for them, they just have too many applications and they have to slow them down. Mm-hmm. It's nobody else's rule. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, it is just their rule. A lot of the other guys are trying to slow it down as well. Bank of America is doing it by increasing almost every rate, adjustable, fixed, whatever, 15-year, 30-year, across the board about 50 basis points. Well, when you call Bank of America and the rates are 50 basis points higher, you're not going to go to Bank of America. So those 2 guys have been doing that. Locally, like Bobby said, people don't want to buy the loans as much as they've used to, but there are some that do have conforming 5% down. The requirements are no harder, debt ratio or otherwise. So the conforming side, local, 5% down, you have mortgage insurance, but the debt ratios and whatnot have not gotten harder, no more stringent. On the FHA side, different story. Credit scores have gone up. It's inconsistent. Some have gone up by 20 basis points, some by 40 basis points. Rob, you've probably seen that as well. And then their pricing, even though the 10-year note has gone down, their pricing has gone up. So conforming rates have come down. If you can get it through FHA, the rates have actually gone up. So that's kind of the macro look at the mortgages right now.
Are they tightening up on like cash out refis because they don't have a lot of money on hand?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
The whole credit facility has tightened up. The banks want to keep money right now because they see a lot of people who are not going to be able to pay, whether it's short-term, cars and whatnot, or long-term lines of credit mortgages. They're expecting a lot of default, so they want to have a lot of money on board, and so that's what they're doing. They've got a ton of money.
You know, what's interesting is people right now are finding out what things are actually assets and which things are actually liabilities. So it could be good for a lot of people moving forward. Okay, Jordan, based on that, are you seeing like inventories down a ton? I mean, I'll get into actual statistics on Thursday next week at our KREIA board or KREIA meeting, but are you seeing less good deals coming across your desk? Maybe that like the numbers just don't make sense. Are you seeing more of that?
So I'll kind of take a step back.
Oh, wait, hold on. Honestly, not everybody knows who you are. Jordan is a hard money lender at SurePoint Equity, just for the record. They're just like everyone else, 10% down. They're great withdrawals, all that stuff. All right, go ahead.
So taking a step back, I've talked to the other hard money lenders, and I think everybody right now, even if you're approved, we're looking at it again, and we're being a little more stringent on, let's say, LTVs or whatnot. But what we're really being careful of is employment and assets, because if you lose your job, obviously, you're going to have problems making our payments. Or if you have $3,000 in the bank, you need some more assets now so that if something else goes wrong, you have a backstop. So instead of 5 or 10 grand, we may be looking at 20 or 25 grand. And then obviously the bigger loans, if you want a $250,000 flip right now, you better have a lot of money in the bank.
Great deal.
Now, as far as applications, I know all the hard money lenders are down because people, the investors are being very cautious. They want to see how this thing's going to play out before they start borrowing more money. So we're really slow. I think everybody is right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too, and a lot of things that aren't deals, and it's just interesting. The wholesalers, I feel like, are churning a bunch of product out, but you have to have some concerns right now too, because if we're having a hard time with cash out refis, a lot of clients use your tool for borrowing. So you're going to have to vet people at a higher level, I guess.
We're going both ways. So guys who are coming in, we're looking at two things. One, are they going to have a job, right? If they don't, let's make sure they have some cash. Also, are they going to qualify in the back end with a conforming lender, right? Because those conforming lenders, like we just talked about, they're expecting higher and more stringent guidelines. So their debt ratios may have gotten higher. Well, that's going to be a problem. So those guys are, again, we're going to look at those guys harder. The flippers we're looking at, because of guys like you, Rob, who have this information more than I do, but borrowers and buyers are going to be distracted, to say the least, right now. So a person who was going out and was about to buy a house, that is not his top priority right now. So both ways, if they're going to flip, if they're going to refinance, either way could be more trouble for a buyer. So we're also looking at that. If the guy's credit score isn't good enough now to go refi, that's a problem.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. And that it'll be interesting. We can keep going, but there is some important thing to know. And I know Frank Miller agrees with this, and so does Jordan, that you're going to see a trickle. So what's happening right now is you have these people that, maybe, can you guys see me? It said my internet's unstable for a second. Am I good?
Good.
Okay. So you're seeing a lot of people eating into their savings right now for their down payment on the house or whatnot. So you're going to see a lower amount of people being able to afford even these $100,000, $150,000 houses. Well, those people that want to move up because of low interest rates are going to have less properties to move up, because they're not going to be able to sell there. So they're not going to be able to move up to the 250 or the 300, and then 300 people to the 500, and the 500 to the 800 and million. So the amount of risk in buying these larger properties or more expensive properties is going up a ton. Now, if you put out a good product, it's still going to sell. And if you know what you're doing, there's a reason Frank sticks with that $600 to, $160,000 product. I muted Frank because of his car. Frank, I should note someone has messaged me that they're concerned about you driving and doing the call. But don't look at the phone. Don't. If I see you looking.
So the phone is actually on my speedometer, so I have to look at the phone to see how fast I'm going.
Science. Just remember, all of these opinions are strictly our own. Liability is strictly our own. Okay.
So, hey, kind of to touch base on what you just said, Rob.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine is a flipper also, and he had a house under contract, and it was supposed to close on February the 28th. Let me get pulled over here in this parking lot. So he was supposed to have a house close on February the 28th, and the buyers were just waiting and waiting. The mortgage company kept reaching out to him, just kind of giving him, putting him off. And then just as of last week, the mortgage company finally contacted him. So you got to think he's been waiting for almost 6 weeks for this closing to actually happen. And they said, well, it's a no-go now. So he had this house under contract probably since January 28th, supposed to close February 28th. And then 6 weeks later, the mortgage company pulled it and said, no, we can't do it now.
People are asking, I mean, are we having issues with appraisals coming back low? On my end, I just had one with Joe Worth that came back 3,000 short. But when Joe bought the house, he was hoping to flip it for 125. We ended up selling it for 149. So it might be not worth what we sold it for. But other than that, all my appraisals are coming in because they should be using, they still have to use historical data from the last 60, 90 days. So not yet, but I think people are projecting like a 10% drop in value maybe across the board. But we're really insulated in Louisville. I mean, Saul, what about you? Or Jordan, sorry. My bad.
Well, we've only seen a couple of appraisals because we haven't been doing many loans. So far, so good. But like you said, we have a feeling it's going to drop 10%. And if the longer it goes, I believe, obviously, that it will come down more and more.
Yeah. Well, but I think there's area, if you buy in certain areas, they're going to be insulated. It's more like some of the more newer areas that are probably where you have less historical data, that's going to be more of an issue. Like Shawnee, Portland, maybe, Smoketown, Shelby Park might have some issues. I mean, there's a ton of appraisals right now, or sold properties in Shelby Park, so maybe it's an issue. But yeah.
Actually, I'm just thankful that we are in Kentucky and the laws that we have going on currently right now, because in Pennsylvania and Michigan, the real estate market is completely closed down. So there's no real estate transactions whatsoever. So that would be a nightmare, I think, for a lot of potential businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Frank, this is Mary. I have a question coming off the previous you had. How is it? I mean, was that person approved previously? And I know at one of your seminars that you had, Zoom meetings, a guy said he had 10 properties, and I think he was already approved. He'd already paid for the appraisal. It was like a bulk loan, and they pulled it. I guess, what excuse are they using? And I guess it's legal because they're getting away with it, but is there any recourse? Like, what excuse are they giving?
The specific one you're talking about was the one that we had back when we had the call with Dick Freeland on them. He was actually trying to refinance a lot of his own personal properties. So he was just trying to refinance those. And they just pulled the plug because they didn't feel comfortable doing 28 single family refis in this, what's going on. But the one that I just spoke about, that was a flipper that had bought a house, and the homeowner put a contract on it, and the mortgage company just pulled it. They didn't give the seller, the flipper guy, a reason, but I would think either there was some kind of issue with maybe the person's employment, or they couldn't sell the loan on the secondary market. Jordan, won't you jump in on that?
Yeah, so they're being very careful. With an example with the employment, one of the companies that I know, it used to be 30 days they would check to see if you were still employed. This company, the second biggest in the United States, they were checking the day of, and if they said you weren't employed, you did not get the loan. That has never been done before. That's unprecedented. So they'll find a reason if they want to, and employment's just one of them.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I mean, like,
another bank on the investment property that was going to permanent financing, the bank just stopped. You could have been anywhere in the process and they said, you're done the day before closing. We're not closing it.
Republic Bank, right?
I didn't want to say it, but Rob, yes, that seems to be.
I think there was an email sent out about it from Republic. So I think we could talk.
Did they send out an email?
No, I'm just kidding. Someone
Oh.
So,
This is on Rob, not on me right now.
so kind of to jump in with that, so I don't think that you should stress about the market right now, but I wouldn't count, let's just say, all your eggs in the basket. So for instance, I just went to a closing today. We had the closing, walked out with a nice check. I've got 5 other houses that are under contract to sell, but I'm not counting those closings until I walk out of the closing room the day of the closing.
That's probably a good move. I think, yes. And luckily, guys, I mean, if you've been in the club for a while, I mean, yeah, I talked to Harry Borders, I don't know, I want to say like 8 months ago. I think maybe Luke Neubauer did too. And like a lot of people lost their shirt in 2008. And like, I mean, I think that's why KREIA is so educational, is because we're just trying to prepare for situations like this. And I think it's even more valuable moving forward, because where are you going to get all this information and data? I mean, this Thursday call is going to be worth its weight in gold, this coming meeting on Thursday. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. And, you know, if you think your people or your friends are struggling, like invite them to the club, like show them that, you know, residual income is really important. I don't know. Yeah.
Let me hop in for one.
Yeah.
I can vouch for one bank. If you're going to try to get permanent financing after you renovate the property, Cub Citizens Union Bank, they have not changed their guidelines. Not one guideline.
And I really like Tyler Long at Cub Bank.
Tyler Long, if you don't have his information, call me. He's the guy you want to go to. He's very quick, but he hasn't changed his guidelines from the LTV or the seasoning, the underwriting. So I don't know about the other banks except Republic, but if they've tightened up and you need one, Tyler Long at Cub is your guy.
Did you guys see where Cub Bank also did a lot of SBA loans too?
I actually didn't see that.
Yeah, they did. They did a big volume when the SBA loan stuff came out a couple weeks ago. They are one of the top banks that did a lot of the SBA loans.
That's good. Yeah, you just remember who's taking care of you during these times. Like the banks that are. I mean, I think it's important. I mean, like, because this could always happen. God willing, it doesn't happen again. But it's good to know, like, you know, how they reacted in this adversity. I mean, who wants to bank with Chase right now? I don't. I do bank with Chase, but I don't want to. Jordan, I was thinking a little bit more, and Chris is on the call, and I was thinking about it. If we're doing a more like a newscast thing on Thursday, I think it's a throwback to have a mustache. Most anchors had mustaches.
That's why I did it.
Might need to keep it. I mean, just to make it more legitimate.
I want to be like John Jones, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Hey, you know what? I might grow mine out too now, just because in solidarity. Frank, you down?
No.
Deal.
My brother wasn't down either.
Yeah, I like the twin thing.
Hey, Rob, on that SBA loan that Frank was talking about, they ran out, and Dennis talked about it, they ran out of the first 350, but they're going to hopefully get another 250 billion. So if you don't know about that program, you should know about that program. I've already received my check. Do not go to a national bank. Nobody got their money that I know of. I went to a local bank and it was deposited 2 days later. It was Stockyards Bank. So,
are you talking about which one? Are you talking about? Are you talking about the PPP or the EIDL?
I'm under PPP. I don't know which one you were talking about.
Did you have an account with them, Jordan?
I did. Yeah. So
that's the kicker, I think, right now. They gave preference, which they should, to their clients. So Cub Bank, I'm sure it was the same way. I happened to have most of my stuff at BB&T. And you're right, I haven't received anything.
And they're out of money. Unless they passed a new 250 billion, you're out.
Yeah, apparently the big upset group on the internet right now is about Ruth Chris, because Ruth Chris apparently got 20 million in SBA loans, and people are really mad about it. We can move on from that. I don't know who nccusa@yahoo.com is, but they're asking if wholesalers are still selling. Frank, what are you seeing on your end?
I do see that they are still selling, but what I'm seeing is they're having a problem finding a buyer for the properties. So, for instance, I noticed that there's a lot of wholesalers that are still putting stuff under contract, and I have been getting a lot more emails lately of price reductions.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the prices are coming down on the wholesale deals, but just from what I've seen and heard, I think a lot of the wholesalers are having problems finding the end buyers, but which could be a good thing because, they're still making their money if they bring the property down at a certain price, and the people that are still having cash and that are still buying can still get a good deal. So it still could be a win-win. But to answer the question, I think that people are still, wholesalers are still selling, but it's a little bit more difficult than what it used to be, say, 3 weeks ago.
I'm seeing a huge influx I'm having, so I have the Louisville network, where wholesalers can push out their products through it. I'm getting more people using it instead of just like the amount I usually have. I'm getting random people that I don't know as well because they're having a hard time unloading it to their smaller circle. I'm also seeing the wholesalers going back and having to renegotiate because I'm telling everyone, no matter who you're working with or whatever, always submit some type of offer because they're going back and renegotiating. And the last 3 deals were renegotiated because the wholesalers need to reevaluate with the market too, which is giving them a lot of leverage where they're able to write these assignment contracts for 6 months out. And they're able to say, oh, well, the whole economy is going to hell. I mean, what do you think your house is worth? So you're seeing, they're having to change too, but I'm still seeing a lot of properties going through just a lot more renegotiations. Todd Johnson said you can have a desktop or exterior. Oh, Todd Johnson's a mortgage lender. So you can have a desktop or exterior appraisal on Fannie, Freddie, USDA, VA, and FHA loans, which is kind of crazy because VA loans and FHA loans are way more particular. Like, that's really interesting. I wonder how that's cool. It's a bit more complex than that, but basically only cash out refinance. You need full interior and exterior appraisals. The agencies Fannie, Freddie, and Jenny advise verifying employment within 24 hours of collateral signing, then again, day of funding. Bobby Clifton said that they're even verifying employment 3 days after because they can call it back within, there's like a 3-day period, I guess, where they can rescind. Joel Price, he's an investor that's from California, loved our market so much, moved here. His girlfriend and him own a smoothie shop downtown, I think. As a buy and hold investor, where are the best opportunities right now? Jordan, what areas are you seeing most of your loans coming from lately?
Well, again,
within the last 90 days.
Well, 90 days is easy. Shelby Park, last 2 weeks. Again, we've probably done 5, maybe to 7 loans. So we haven't done many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Frank, what about you? I mean, I think I know the answer from Frank. Frank?
So the best buy and holds, South End. So anything up and down Dixie Highway, Okolona, that's kind of the basic go-to buy and holds, just because, just remember, in a situation like this, whenever you buy something and if you for some reason cannot sell it, you need to make sure that you're able to rent it and make a cash flow on it. So just kind of like what Jordan said earlier, if you are buying properties that are a higher end to fix and flip, I kind of feel sorry for you right now, just because I wouldn't want to be in that situation if I'm trying to sell a $250,000 house and I can't sell it. So then I'm signed to rent it. So there's not going to be enough cash flow there to sustain that for a period of time.
Yeah, that makes it way more difficult. But the rental market It's pretty strong. I mean, people are still needing to rent. Inventory is still super low.
Yeah, like what I was saying earlier before some people got on the call. The reason why I'm in my truck is because I actually had a couple people that did not pay rent. Only probably about maybe 3 to 4 people out of all the houses that we have. And those 3 or 4 people, I actually was driving past their houses because they are the ones that sent me an email saying, hey, can we have rent relief because we've been affected by COVID-19? Our office said, yeah, we'll give you 50% off the rent for this month. And then after we sent them that correspondence, we never heard from them. So we've been contacting them and no one will ever contact us back. So we drove past the properties just to make sure that they're still there and they just didn't pick up and leave or something.
Luke Neubauer was saying that he had 100% of his tenants pay, and Joe Worth only had one who was like, I guess, more of an issue anyway, like on his. So somebody
I think the rental market for April is pretty strong. Like I said, we only had 3 that didn't pay. But what my fear is May 1st, if a lot of these people don't get any of these stimulus checks or some of the small businesses that we rent to or lease to, if they don't get their PPP loans or their EIDL loans, then May could be a little bit different than April.
Well, I think that's when if you're a buyer right now and you're sitting on money, I think that's when your money's going to be worth a lot more, because you're going to have people having to consolidate their portfolio to offset the losses on the other side. So you're going to see some good, fully functional rentals hitting the market that might be really great. We are seeing, I don't want to get too much into the statistics, but yeah, we are seeing a decline in rents. They're not increasing at the same rate, but honestly, the statistics I'm going to give on Thursday, I think it's more of like the high-end rentals that are getting hurt because people are like, shoot, I need to live more within my means. And so you're seeing those rented at a lower rate. So I think I don't want to get into statistics. Don't want to, give up all the good stuff before the meeting on Thursday. But yeah, we're going to get into that.
Here's another option for that too. So through Zillow, one of our properties came vacant. So we actually went in and cleaned it up and are currently getting ready to rent it. And someone contacted us through Zillow, and tomorrow we're actually meeting somebody to do a lease option on the house. So the person is giving us $3,500 down, paying us $800 a month for 24 months. And then after the 24 months, then they're hoping to get a loan after all this is over with.
Joel Price is saying that he had 15 of his 18 tenants have paid. So the importance of not over leveraging. Jeff is saying, as long as you submitted your application for the PPP or EIDL, if it was submitted before 4/15, when they ran out of funds for this round, you're still eligible for access to the loan money. Contact the bank where you conduct your real estate business, and they will contact the SBA to hopefully get your application processed at a local level. Frank, this is from Rick Luttrell, who just hosted the membership benefits episode just recently. Check that out. There's a lot of value there. Rick wants to know, Frank, is the rent money going towards purchase on your lease option?
Great question, Rick. So in all of our contracts, the lease option fee that they pay up front of $3,500 goes towards the purchase of the house. But any rents that they paid monthly do not go towards the purchase of the house, because if you do that, then you're going to be in a tough situation at the end of the 24 months, because then that client is going to say they have an equitable interest in the property for paying, for you taking credits for the rent. So make sure if you guys are in a lease option situation that you only do whatever money they put down up front goes towards the purchase price, but no rent money goes towards the purchase price whatsoever, or you will be finding yourself in court.
Yes. Wise advice. Could have just saved you a ton of money lost in court fees and issues. Frank, my second question that I had for the day was about your closing this morning. Did Borders did Borders give you any insight at your closing on what numbers are looking like on their end? I know you said it was busy because it was a Friday, but are they slowing down at all, or?
They're slowing down some. They said that today being a Friday, it was busy and they were super surprised it was.
Yeah.
But, it's not obviously business like normal, but, when I was in there, the parking lot was pretty full and every room was full and they were waiting. People were standing in the parking lot waiting to come in to get a room available. So, like I said before when we first started the call, I think the real estate market here in Kentucky is still pretty strong because just the way everything runs here. And I would not stop buying and selling properties. I would make sure you have some cash reserves on hand. But the cool thing about the market is that Kentucky's always withheld any kind of storm that we've been through over the past 15 years. So I think that if I was in a different market, just me personally, in my opinion, hopefully you guys can chime in, Rob and Jordan, about this. But if I was in Florida right now, I think I'd be nervous buying property or trying to sell property, just because most of those properties are vacation rentals or short-term people coming in from out of town. So I'm thinking that some of the big cities, big states are going to have some issues in the next 6 months.
I agree with Frank. Just from history, 2008, Kentucky, the values went down 25%. California, Florida, 50%. So we're a little bit insulated here, and this is not 2008. We'll pull out hopefully in 60 days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jay Pitts, I was talking to Jay Pitts. He's a local realtor that kicks butt as well. And, I mean, he thinks we're going to come out of this fine. I mean, at the end of the day, I will say that a lot of people are sick of their money going away in the stock market or equity. So you're seeing a huge influx, and you're going to see, it's going to be crazy over the next 12 months on out-of-state money coming into our market, coming into our whole region, Lexington.
I'm glad you brought that up, Rob, because listen to this real fast. So I was posting something about one of our houses that we fixed up and we staged, and we have under contract on the Bigger Pockets social media page, whatever it's called. And I was just simply saying, what the numbers were and how everything's going here. I had 2 people from Colorado and 1 person from Utah reach out to ask if we would be interested in JVing and borrowing money on deals in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So
Lexington is coming in strong.
Same with Northern Kentucky, Dayton, Cincinnati. I mean, our whole region's awesome, guys. Like, we're so blessed. I don't think I'd be a great realtor in any other market than ours. But just yesterday, I had someone call me and they wanted me to JV on all these wholesale deals with them. And I'm like, that is not really my forte. So Joe Worth is going to start working with them, and he's already doing it at a high level in Atlanta. I mean, they're coming, guys. I mean, which is great. We need people turning up more deals because their demand is going to be just astronomical, which should make us all feel pretty great about any kind of investments we have, because everybody's wanting to put their money here. We're in a good place. The only problem is we're also stuck up about deals because we expect crazy demand, whereas 1% deal is wonderful to California people. But for us, it's give me that 2%, give me that 1.5%. Yeah.
So Jordan, I got a quick question for you since you're on the call. So over the past, let's just say 90 days compared to what you've seen, has your new investor calls slowed down considerably compared to what you were getting?
Yep, probably 50% of new people.
Really?
They're scared to death right now. The old guys are scared. New people are scared to death.
Yeah. I mean, I average 5 to 6 out-of-state calls a week from people that are just want to ask about our market, and that hasn't slowed down at all. I mean, not a bit. So I think we're okay, guys. I mean, the big thing is I don't know. We need to be able to hang out. I just want to be around people. MCUSA@yahoo.com is saying, is this correct? You can borrow up to $100K from your IRA and repay within 36 months. Can you use it to purchase money can use as money to purchase and buy properties?
That seems like a Harry or Hampton question.
I know I've seen this. You have to pay the money back, but you can. I don't know if it's $100K. For some reason I thought it was like, no, maybe it is 100. For some reason I'm thinking 20,000 for some reason but I've read something that you can take money out and not be taxed on your IRA right now, as long as you.
There's a good website to go to. If you go to equitytrust.com, and there's a guy named John Bowens that has videos on their website that will tell you the ins and outs of doing that currently right now. He wouldn't suggest doing that unless you're in really dire straits for money. But that is another avenue, kind of like the 401k. But the best advice is probably go to that website, equitytrust.com, and listen to some of the videos that John Bowens is posting on the website about that.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to pivot for a second. Frank, what's home life like right now for you? How are you guys holding up? Because you're about to move as well, so you got a lot going on.
So home life currently, a lot of you guys know my wife Tommy. A lot of you guys don't, but here's kind of what's going on with us. She's doing the homeschooling of the youngest one, and the schools are sending us 4 to 5 videos a day, plus like 10 to 12 worksheets. So she's having to juggle that with juggling the rental properties. And then I'm doing a lot of at-home stuff, paperwork-wise, than what I usually do. But home life now, believe it or not, it's pretty cool because we have more family time together. But it's one of those things, too, where you have so much family time, it's almost like it's ready to get the economy back and going. Like, for instance, my son was a freshman at UK. He had to move back. They shut all the UK dorms down. He moved back on March 1st. So just imagine you had a freshman in college that was living his life freely, and now he's back. And now he's back home and having to follow these social distancing quarantine guidelines that we are making him do. It's kind of a struggle a little bit. So, but you know, the cool thing is to answer the question, it's been fun having a lot more family time and a lot more downtime. And there's no like set schedules, obviously, where we have to be somewhere at a certain time.
What I like about what you're doing is, I mean, obviously Frank's really present on social media, but I like that you're showing other people what they can do with their family. I think it's cool that you guys are coming up with picnics and things like that. I think you guys are doing a good job. What's it like for you, Pohn?
Good and bad. You know, I have an 11-year-old, very social like you, Rob.
Sure.
And she can't be your friends, and she's sitting in front of the computer. She wants to go back to school. And so it's a little tough for her. Mom and dad are great, but not that great. And more family time. Now, my wife is a pharmacist.
Yeah.
She goes to work 3 days a week. So that dynamic, that really hasn't changed too much. So it's all good.
You know, I would just die for a Frank Miller and a Jordan Pohn TikTok dance video. I would literally, it would make my week if we ever got a Chris McCarty TikTok dance video. I would lose my mind. I swear to God, that would be just amazing.
Maybe we can do a picnic TikTok.
That would be too easy. I want to see you dancing, Frank. Loretta Showalter wants to know where you bought in. Is it Goshen, Shelbyville?
Fisherville,
my third guess.
So this was not planned, but I am actually more in the country now, so I'm trying to social distance a little bit further out.
Gosh, I mean, just make the kids feel even more isolated. How much mileage do you put on your car every year?
Well, I bought my truck brand new in 2017, and I've got 75,000 miles on it already.
I'm a realtor, but I don't really show a lot of properties, and I think I probably have like 4,000 miles this year. I don't.
Well, you got to think also too, like, so most of my students and believe that I tell where kind of some of the good deals are is South End, deep South End. So just think of those drives I have to do every day from East End to South End, back and forth.
Yeah, our guys, I know we mentioned it, but our inventory is like crazy low. right now. So if you do have a vacant rental, throw it on the market. Just see what you can get for it, especially if it's cheap, like in that 50 to 150. I mean, with the demand still high in that range, but it's
Well, just for instance, we listed a house yesterday in 40219 off Preston Highway, a new flip that we just did through our IRA, and we listed it yesterday, I guess about 4 or 5 o'clock, and we've already got 8 showings set up. So,
Is that a sale or rent?
for sale.
The rental's good too, just to support what Rob said. As a matter of fact, we can't shut off all the requests. We've already rented the property, but there's still a demand out there.
It's really crazy too, because like, think about this. Everybody's trying to social distance and trying to get away and don't want to be around people. That's supposedly the norm right now. But I have a commercial property that we are almost finished with over off of Fern Creek area. And I put a for rent sign, for lease sign up in it just to see kind of what happens. And I had so many people in 2 days, probably 20 phone calls in 2 days, call me to rent it as a residential house. So I had to physically take the for rent sign up because I was getting so many phone calls on that.
I had one on Nancy close this week, and it kept like it just closed, but the sign, I was getting like 3 calls a week on that house over by what is it called? It's like the PRP ice cream joint, like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm blanking on what it's called. But Angela said, I would pay money to see Jordan and Frank dance, which sounds like a great way to fundraise for the Home of the Innocents. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we could put something together. Maybe I'll shoot out an email. See if we can raise $1,000 for Home of the Innocents. We'll get a TikTok dance from Frank Miller and Jordan Pohn and Chris McCarty as well. I know you're on.
Job.
Deal? If we get $1,000 for Home,
Just to let you know, I don't know how the TikTok stuff works. So I don't know how.
Luckily, you have a college student in your house. I'd be happy to help you. And I know you've got an 11-year-old. They tick and they talk.
Frank, why do you have so much action on that Beulah Church property you have?
Are you talking to me?
Honestly, I'm not sure, and I'm surprised that you're getting so many phone calls too, because it kind of looks like a house in a way, but it is commercial. But I mean, literally, I did that on Monday because I knew you were kind of getting frustrated with so many calls coming into the office about not lending. So I went out there because it's not completely done yet, but I went out there to put a for rent sign up, as in for lease for a commercial property. And literally, I had 20 phone calls in 2 days, and they were all people wanting to rent it residentially. So it's just crazy that there's that many people really out there looking for rental houses right now.
Yeah, it's kind of, I know all this really like stinks, but it's cool to like, I don't know, shake it up a little bit. We're in a really interesting world. Ann McAfee is saying houses below 250K still flying up the shelves, not enough inventory. Yeah. All right. Spoiler. I'll get one statistic that's coming up for Thursday. Inventory's down 28% across the country from people that hold their properties off the market. So, I mean, I don't know. If you have a vacant house, I mean, people are less afraid to go in it because of the coronavirus and all that. So, anyway, any last questions before we wrap up? I enjoyed today's call. I really didn't have much of an agenda. This has been a lot more fun without the.
May I do a quick promo?
Of course.
Okay. Well, good deal. Well, everybody, if you're not aware, we are going to do our main meeting, and it's going to be virtual. The other thing I want to point out, and if you were on here before, you already know this, but I'm just going to show you real quick that we are now making it so that you can get to these recordings a lot easier. So I am sharing my screen with you. And as you see here, let me go ahead and blow this up. This is when you come to the KREIA website. But what's really nice is, while this is the normal stuff that we have out there, and a couple things I'll tell you, all the COVID-19 resource links that we have are right there. take advantage of those. We're going to try and keep information up there and up to date. The latest, this is not the latest, but it will be. Lauren continues to put everything out there. Of course, she's working like crazy. But if you come under resources here, and this is, we're going to just keep promoting this, and you go to the blog, everything is out there in order. And so if you've missed one of the meetings, if you've missed one of the see you at noons, just come in here, scroll down. Everything is posted in here. And going forward, this is all new that Lauren's put out here over time, but she's right now it's being implemented, and so you can get to it. You can come to these and see them. Now, again, if you're a member, when you hit one of the main member meeting items, you'll go, but then it won't let you in unless you're a member. So if you're a member, that's great. And if you want to go back to some of the members only videos before this, you just come over here. I happen to be logged in, and it'll take you to this page. And so you can go back and review these. And this is great. As you all know, there's been a lot of good information out here. So just FYI, this is ongoing. This blog is going to be your go-to place. You can always catch up on all these things. So I just want to encourage everybody. Again, we're looking forward. We are going to have registration. I think today, after I get off this call, Lauren and I are going to get together, and we're going to get the on the homepage the registration link for the upcoming meeting. So we'll get all that out there. You'll be able to come in and register, and it'll be our first ever, of course, virtual meeting, and we're excited about that. So look forward to having you there.
It's so nice to, I feel like, we're peering behind the Wizard of Oz's curtain. Who knew that John was a multiple tabs guy?
Oh, oh, you don't even see the other screen.
No, we don't. But gosh, okay, so this is shameless. But whenever I would show really nice bougie houses as a realtor, I would go and look in their fridge to get ideas on what I should have in my fridge. So I'd love to see what someone like Jordan Pohn and Frank Miller eat in their fridge. Anyway, okay, so I don't have anything lined up for Monday and Wednesday of next week. We have our big KREIA call right now on Thursday. And Friday, Chris has not agreed to this yet, but the idea will be follow-up Friday where we can field more questions with John and Chris, Vice President and President, future President as well. But it should be great. Thanks all for joining. This is a lot of fun. I appreciate you. Yes, go.
One last thing. I don't know how many people are aware that National REIA is having a call today as well. Okay. And that's at, I believe it's at 4 o'clock. And encourage you. They bring some really good information to the table. Has everybody been getting that?
Yeah, Lauren's been sending out emails.
Okay.
She's
okay.
Also, I mean, let's see if we can raise $100 or $1,000 for Home of the Innocents, and Frank Miller, Jordan Pohn, Chris McCarty maybe we'll do a nice little dance for us. How about that?
I'll donate 100 for Jordan.
Oh.
200 for Miller.
All right, so we'll get that going. I'll put that up on the Facebook group. Oh, also my big charges. If you're listening to these calls, and I kind of want to put this in the KREIA meeting, you need to join the Facebook group. I noticed that our membership's like 720, 730, and we only have like 200 people, I think, maybe in the KREIA group. There's so much knowledge and facts in that group for the search function. I think people need to take advantage of it. So big push. Join the KREIA Facebook group. You have to get approved. We do that. All right. Thanks, guys. You all take care. Have a great day. Enjoy the rain.
Thank you, Rob.
See you guys.